The pilot was lost their life, and no one knew how to land the plane. David Cole sat in on seat 17 Bilbao, his head down, lost in a world of regrets. A former pilot, disgraced and forgotten, he had sworn never to fly again. Then, the worst happened. The captain's voice cut through the cabin speakers. "Ladies and gentlemen, we're experiencing a slight issue." A tremor in his voice, a hesitation, then silence. A minute later, a piercing scream from the cockpit. Passengers gasped as the plane lurched violently downward. Oxygen masks deployed. Luggage tumbled from overhead bins. Panic erupted. The cabin crew tried to stay calm, but their faces told the truth. Something was terribly wrong. David unbuckled his seatbelt. His heart pounded. He had vowed never to fly again. But as he saw a mother clutching her child, an old man whispering a prayer, he knew he couldn't just sit there. He rushed to the cockpit. The flight attendants tried to stop him. "Sir, please return to your seat." But when he pushed open the cockpit door, his blood ran cold. The captain lay slumped over the controls, eyes open but lifeless. The co-pilot gasped for air, clutching his chest. A medical emergency, or something worse. The altimeter screamed, "Terrain, terrain, pull up." They were falling. Fast. David grabbed the co-pilot's headset. "This is David Cole, former commercial pilot. I need immediate assistance." The air traffic controller's voice crackled through the radio. "Cole? You've been off the grid for 10 years. What the hell are you doing in that cockpit?" No time to explain. The controls were unresponsive. The plane was in a rapid descent. Something wasn't right. Then he saw it. The autopilot was locked. Not a malfunction. A hack. This was no accident. David's hands shook. His past was catching up to him. A decade ago, he was the golden boy of aviation, until a mysterious crash ended his career. He had always suspected foul play, but no one believed him. Now, here he was, thousands of feet in the air, reliving his nightmare. And then, a voice in the radio. A deep, distorted voice. "Welcome back to the skies, Captain Cole. Let's see if you can land this one." David's breath caught in his throat. Someone wanted him here. Someone wanted this plane to crash. David took control. 5 minutes until impact. He barked orders to the terrified flight attendants. "Get the passengers ready. Brace position." The engines sputtered. They were losing power fast. Then, a glimmer of hope. A backup manual override. It was risky. One wrong move, and they'd spiral out of control. But there was no other choice. David grabbed the yoke, took a deep breath, and pulled. The plane leveled out, barely. But they were still too low. Then, something chilled him to the bone. A man in a first class stood up, unfazed, smirking. David recognized him instantly. Elliot Graves. The man he once called his best friend. The man who betrayed him. Graves held up a small device. A detonator. "You didn't think it would be that easy, did you?" David gritted his teeth. "Why are you doing this?" Graves smiled. "Finishing what we started." David had seconds to react. The plane was still too low. If he attacked Graves, they might all die. If he didn't, Graves would crash the plane anyway. David's mind raced. He had one shot. He nodded toward the cockpit window. "Look outside." Graves glanced. Just for a second. That was all David needed. He lunged, grabbing Graves's wrist, twisting it. The detonator flew into the air. David punched him. Hard. Graves collapsed, unconscious, but the plane was still going down. David grabbed the yoke, pulled with everything he had. Come on, come on. The ground rushed up. 1 second, passengers screaming, trees blurring past, tires skimming the water. Then, impact. A sickening jolt. A violent shake. The plane skidded, screeched, then silence. They had crash landed. Alive. As emergency crews swarmed the wreckage, David sat in the cockpit, shaking. He had saved them. But it wasn't over. Because in his pocket, he found a note. One sentence. This was just the beginning. David clenched his fists. Whoever was behind this, they weren't done. And neither was he.